Sup fam, it's Reaper666 streaming for you live from the Reef Den. Today we're going old school with a classic. GutCruncher 3, Bloodpocalypse Rising.
Henry, it's time for lunch.
Dad? Get out!
Wait, what is this? Are you playing violent video games again? You're gonna wind up on the 6 o'clock news.
Don't worry, Dad. The idea that video games cause violent crime is a total myth.
That is disgusting. They're trying to brainwash you into thinking that video games are safe.
Nope. You're the one who's been brainwashed. For as long as video games have existed, they've sent American parents into a full-scale freakout. In 1976, the National Safety Council panicked over the arcade game Death Race, calling it 666. Actually! And in the 90s, politicians had a full-scale freakout about a little game called Mortal Kombat. Democratic Senator Joe Lieberman claimed it taught kids to, quote, enjoy inflicting the most gruesome forms of cruelty.
Real quote unlocked.
But despite these repeated parades of pearl-clutching panic, there's still no actual evidence linking video games to violent crime.
Moral outrage unnecessary.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not convinced.
Well, let's look at the facts. As video game sales in America have spiked, violent crime has actually gone down. And other countries where games are popular have even lower rates of violent crime.
そうだ。日本ではアメリカ人よりもっとゲーム遊ぶけど、拳銃の殺人は96倍少ないよ。これでどうだ？怪獣。
Alrighty then, mister. Then how come every time there's a school shooting, I hear reports that the gunman was a gamer? There's gotta be some connection.
Nope. Multiple studies, including an analysis by the Secret Service, have found that school shooters actually consume significantly lower amounts of violent media and video games than their peers.
So you're saying video games don't have any effect on our kids at all? Not even that game Fork Knife, where you kill people with pickaxes?
It's called Fortnite, Dad. Pickaxe is a harvesting tool.
Well, some studies do show that violent video games can cause a temporary increase in aggressive thoughts and behavior. But those studies are pretty flimsy because they didn't measure anything the average person would actually consider aggression. One study just measured whether or not people who played video games were more likely to feed their opponents hot sauce.
Hey! Actually, it's better this way.
And even if these studies had tested real-world acts of aggression, the change in behavior they measured was tiny, just 2% on average. Other studies have shown a similar effect in racing games and even real-life sports.
That checks out. Dad does rage out whenever I beat him at ping pong.
That's because you play dirty, Henry. Oh, I see it now. Okay, so if video games don't turn our kids into violent maniacs, then why does everybody keep saying they do?
Oh, I can answer that.
Guys, meet video game researcher and level 30 demon slayer, Dr. Patrick Markey.
Sup, Reaper666? Hope you don't mind, I already defeated that final boss. Blaming video games for real-world violence really took off after the Columbine shooting, and it was an understandable mistake because we all desperately wanted some reason why someone would commit such a horrific act of violence. But today we know video games actually aren't what's to blame.
And yet, politicians across the political spectrum still scapegoat video games. As recently as the 2018 Parkland tragedy, the President of the United States was saying things like,
I'm hearing more and more people say the level of violence on video games is really shaping young people's thoughts.
and reporters parrot this lazy narrative right back. After the Newtown school shooting, it was widely reported that the gunman played video games. But what they left out was that his favorite game, the one he'd play up to 10 hours a day, was Dance Dance Revolution.
The fact is, it's just easier to blame video games than to tackle societal problems that actually impact rates of violence. Things like educational and employment disparities, stigma against seeking mental health treatment, and especially in the case of shootings, access to guns.
Instead, we're wasting time and tax dollars on even more research to try to prove a link between violence and video games that just doesn't exist.
That's right. I'm a video game researcher, and even I think this is a waste of time. And that's why I'm taking a break to beat the next level. Oh man, it's underwater. See you guys.
The truth is, scapegoating and banning violent video games doesn't protect kids. It just distracts us from figuring out what we really need to do to keep people safe.
You're right. Henry, you can play that gut game with supervision.
Okay, Dad. You just gotta narrate everything for the stream.
Let's see what we got. Did you just shove that gun up his... Oh, God.